Fantastic. There we go. We are in game. You can see we've got both our players here. Skade versus Gameslay at 989. Both with cams. We always love to see that. Adds to the experience a bit. Had a very good start for the Azir with the old Eye of the Herald spawning in a Sand Soldier on turn 1.
You'd love to see it. That's exactly your game plan as Azir. Get in, get the equipment down, and just start pumping as quick as you can. And having the additional bodies does help, as that way you can start pushing in and out faster than your opponent can really deal with them.
Absolutely. Now this is a power play of a turn 2, utilising the Orn's Forge to spawn in the BF Sword for 1 less, leaving that energy up to play another Sand Soldier as well. This is a really cool combo. I played Orn's Forge at my pre-release with the Irelia deck, and it is certainly a very potent combo.
Yeah, pretty sure all 3 of my events, I'm sure, had some form of equipment and definitely played Orn's Forge, either generally at least some of the games, if it didn't benefit my opponent too much, because it is a very powerful battlefield. I think people are sort of ignoring, even if they are using equipment.
Yeah, absolutely. On the side of the Japs, we've got the Rockfall Path, where units can't be played here. So, if this was set 1, that would very much be the anti Deadbloom Predator play. But interesting to see. I haven't seen a ton of that being played yet.
I suppose it does slow down the Eye of the Herald as well.
Yep. Oh, that's very true, actually. Yeah, I didn't think about that. You actually can't. It won't spawn in the recruit token. So, nice little tactic there.
But here comes now Mighty Sand Soldier taking hold of that here for 3 points to Zil on the side of the Azir, which is good to see. Azir just need to kind of go fast, especially at the start of the game, as its equipments don't always make for the strongest of Sand Soldiers. But if you did watch last week's event, you can see that it can get out of hand very quickly.
This is the thing. I was watching it as well, and I think it's one of those things where it can just, if it gets too far ahead, it will just run away with the game. And there's not a lot you can do, but we can see already down to 2 cards. So if the Jax is able to find a way to stabilize this situation, we could see the Azir might not be able to recover from this. We do see the Brutalizer come down. This is a really strong equipment, especially in Jax, when you've got the ease of re-equipping it after you've sent a unit into peril.
Well, that's it. Especially as it does just give something +2 for the turn. As you said, unequip it, re-equip it. Makes it a very strong equipment that you can share with the whole team, at least once per turn. Although, depending on how we're going to do this, a 6 might going... Oh, a strike down. That could be changing some things.
Ooh, this is a big swing here. So we get to pop the Azir with the Stellarcorn Herder. We'll be able to re-equip the Brutalizer, and then we can even swing in against the Sand Soldier, because it'd be on the... Sorry, the BF Sword Sand Soldier, I should say, because that doesn't exactly open it up, which will be 6 against 5. So this is, just as I was saying, a big potential swing here for the Jax.
I say, and the +2 might given to the Stellarcorn this turn doesn't go away either. So this way it's going to be now going to be a 8 might unit if they do indeed re-equip it to the Stellarcorn, which means walk anywhere you want, you'll be taking names.
Absolutely.
So I do get over to that path in a second, as there's no real point walking over to the hidden card.
Yes, I'd be quite conscious of walking into a hidden card when it's on a yellow side of the field. But yeah, we will see it go in. We should draw the card for the move. Yeah, this Stellarcorn Herder is fast becoming one of the best green cards in the set. We've seen some true power with it, especially in decks like Aurelia, being able to ready it multiple times and move it around. Things like Ride the Wind as well. You can potentially draw 3 or 4 cards in a turn if you want to, which is really crazy.
So if you were able to watch the second game of the last round, you may have seen that Stellarcorn was getting 3 draws a turn. And that was before it was even getting the additional from Discipline. So yes, it does just go very quick, very crazy. But we do get out a second BS Sword and equip that to a new Sand Soldier, making it, again, kind of more in the favour of the Azir. But can't push out this turn, unfortunately.
Indeed, but it's a strong unit to have back at base, and we're in a good spot here. We're up comfortably on the point tempo. We see we're actually equipping the BF Sword to the battlefield as well. So that Sand Soldier is now going to be sitting at 5 as well with the recruit token too. So certainly building quite a stronghold on the Orn's Forge as well.
Yeah, I think you have to be a bit more suspicious of what's going on here. As you said, you can detach that Brutalizer kind of as and when you want, and being able to do this as well just means that having those possibly 8 might or more Stellarcorns is a bit more of a threat than it should be. But the hidden card could be a face breaker. It could be the green card that allows you to repeat bringing out Sand Soldiers, and I think else it could be in green. That's a good question.
Maybe in green. I don't think there's a ton. I mean, it could.
No,
Yeah, I think the most likely outcome is probably it could be the classic hidden blade as well.
or a hidden blaze. Yes, that's probably the simplest one. Pop it, take rid of the recruit, get yourself 2 draws, especially when you're
Yeah.
known for running out of draws in this deck. As a rule, you don't really run any extra units. It's actually funny to see a different Azir in the deck because normally you only really just run the main one and then maybe 2 extras for fun, either an Apprentice, a Stellar Corn, or as we did see in the last deck, the Fioras for the readying.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the yellow Azir, the Azir Sovereign, as we want to use the official term, is certainly the more popular option. We can see that sitting in the champ zone. But yeah, some cool tech, and we're actually seeing a Bone Shiver come out here as well, which is cool. It allows you to channel a rune as well when it conquers, which is some cool tech. We're going to equip it to the Pit Rookie.
Yeah,
Then equip the
you kind of do see
Brutalizer.
this occasionally, right? You don't always get to see these Bone Shivers in the orange decks. I think it is kind of more of a Jax tech and like a Yi tech, but I quite like it, to be fair.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So we're now swinging in with the Brutalizer. We'll be swinging in for 7 against the current 6 of the Azir. The Azir does have 2 runes open, and we know there is that hidden card there as well. Likely to be something like could potentially be something like a Hidden Blade. It'll be interesting to see. Yep. Oh, there we go. There's the Hidden Blade. And they're actually going to Hidden Blade the Rookie. So you have to give the Jats card draw. They're just going to stay up on the point tempo. Which I think is a pretty good play. And we are going to see the Desert's Call come down to spawn out 2 Sand Soldiers for the Jack. So building quite a nice stronghold in his base as well. Hoping to push back next turn. But it is likely Azir is going to get to 6 this turn. So we are already in striking distance of game 1.
I can't believe the Jacks should play an Azir card in their deck to get themselves 2 additional tokens. How could they?
I know. What betrayal we've had. We've got 2 rogue Sand Soldiers that have turned traitor. But unfortunately for the Jacks, they do not come in with Weapon Masters, so it will be slightly more expensive for them to manage. We are seeing the 3rd BF sword, so we have drawn the full playset in the top 9 cards, which is a pretty nice situation for the Azir to keep the might up. Certainly makes life easier for them.
So they also just played out the Brutalizer, the first one we see from the Azir. There's no real point giving this to any of the ones on the board, but maybe you could have played the extra one and got out another Sand Soldier in the back there, because it would have been just more recruits to the line of fire.
Absolutely. I think it's slightly less popular in Azir, because like you say, unless the tokens enter ready, it doesn't have that immediate impact. And it is harder to detach it, whereas with Jax, obviously, it's quite easy just to pop things off. I'm kind of surprised we don't retreat here a little bit from the Azir side, because we could have used the Herald spawn, an extra recruit token. We could have just built a really nice fortress in base, whereas this feels quite risky if we are going to lose both of these Sand Soldiers, unless we see something like an Arise come through potentially that would be able to be a big swing. Yeah, it feels like it could be potentially a bit of a gamble. So we've got a lot of runes to play with as Jax. We're sitting with 9 quite comfortably.
It's just say if the Arise does come out next turn, that is going to be 7 units in the back there for this equipment, plus the 2 extras you get for free. That is a 5-on-5, I believe.
It is indeed. That will be enough to get it done. We could even see now the Brutalizer
reattach. Because this is a free.
Sorry, 6. Yeah, of course. Oh, a challenge coming through. Okay, nice.
Ooh.
We'll use this to take out, I assume, the other Sand Soldier. Oh, no. We're going to hit the Soldier in base.
Okay.
Interesting.
So I presume there's no end guards in hand then, or anything to sort of get rid of this, so no Defies.
Yeah, I think Defy would certainly be the real worry there, but I think if we now... I imagine we're now going... Oh, Akshan. Very nice.
No!
This card can be a bit of a menace, but we're going to now steal the BF sword from the Azir.
How could you? I hate this. I played against somebody who pulled like the only action in all the pods, and yeah, every time I put like an equipment down, it's just actions just needs to be in my hand too. I guess I'll take that for myself.
Yeah, it can be quite a sly card. It's interesting player, because now we're only looking at 3 might, so we can just equip the Bone Chip, or we can even move the Brutalizer with Jack Legend ability to one of the Sand Soldiers and push that in. And then, like I say, we've got a clear board for the Jax player, and they'll only be 2 points behind, 1 card in hand. So it could be a big top deck here, depending on what we can find.
So I'll rephrase what I said earlier. There's only going to be 6 Sand Soldiers now, as we have lost a BF sword to the Jax.
Very true.
Here comes in the Lonely Pyro, the loneliest of all Pyros. It's such a lonely day. A bit late in the game to be getting these out, really. She's not exactly going to put it on the battlefield as a hold. But it's kind of in the
Yes, I
realm
feel
of
like,
it.
but there could have been an argument there to try and bluff that you had maybe had something in hand with the 2 runes up rather than just playing the Lonely Pyro to tap out fully. So yeah, interesting play, that one.
Yeah, I do think it's quite strange that people sort of like extend plays they don't really need to, where you've got 5 cards in hand, as you said, bluff some cards, try to make your opponent think about things. It is kind of a mind game as well as it is like a physical card game. So you are kind of trying to figure out, like, are you playing poker or are you playing blackjack some of the times?
Exactly. We are seeing the Azir come out here.
Accelerated. Very good.
Yeah, well, fortunately, his ability is not going to be hugely useful at this exact moment in time, as
But he can become very big.
We could indeed make him very large. We could even potentially go for a very ambitious hold here, which would be interesting if we wanted to equip everything, which is looking like the strategy we are choosing to go with. Giving you a BF sword and the brutalizer, so it's now sitting at a 10. Oh no, we've deattached the brutalizer. Ah, the BF sword. So yeah, we're now sitting at a 10 for the Azir, which is quite potent.
So I mentioned this before. I look forward to a set a little bit down the line where we get a yellow Nash's Tooth, and then we can get rid of these BF swords. I don't want to have my AD Azir anymore, guys. I want to have my full-on AP attack speed Azir going off. Is it going into the or? I am wondering if they've maybe got maybe another brutalizer or a door and shield in the back there, and they just want to get out for cheaper. Obviously, a door and shield will come in for free, so I can see that being a useful sort of play if that is the case to take in this battlefield. We're at 7. There's brutalizer. Never mind. Still cheaper.
So there indeed is the brutalizer.
It is quite funny that I think you have to play the Sand Soldiers to the equipment right, so they can't play the Sand Soldier to the battlefield and then equip it.
I just read it. It specifies the base on the Azir.
Mm-hmm.
I was in that same thought myself. I'm like, surely you play this to the battlefield here. Well, unfortunately, you actually cannot.
No.
Oh, the double brutalizer. That is brutal, if you'll pardon the pun. Sorry, that was terrible.
Whatever could happen next.
But we are now going to have this actually massive. What are we looking at here? 13? No, yeah. Plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. Yeah, it's going to be a 13 might action, which is about to swing in, which might be a bit too much for this Azir to handle.
I'd say they would go to 6 on the side of the Jacks as they're already holding with the Stellar Corn. So it's not the worst sort of situation to be in as the Azir, but you do need to take at least 1 battlefield back the following turn. So you just walk into the Stellar Corn if that's the case, get an extra draw, see what you can do with that. But no, I think it's a case of if you've got a cool card right now, I mean, that doesn't really help, but you've got a cool card right now.
Well, I think at least we're just cycling the deck. I think it's probably the main priority, but yeah, the Azir is still going to go.
So yeah, getting the extra draw probably didn't hurt too much. Obviously, if thins your deck 1 more card, if you can try and get that very cool big Sand Soldier out in a second, maybe that'll help, but we will know shortly. Nope, never mind. Strike down. It doesn't really feel like it's
looking bleak for the Azir.
It doesn't really feel like it's a downside for the Jax player here if you get to unequip a Brutalize and then re-equip it to another one of your cards.
Indeed, I think we may have just run out of steam.
So there's nothing you can accelerate from the deck unless you have another Azir in the deck. Again, it's very strange to see both the yellow and the green in these decks together. So I do wonder what's here. Nothing at all.
I think that may be the concession. And we are just drawing cards. Oh, it was 1 off. We could have topped. I'm not even sure if that would have been enough, really, with the how big the action was. Well, I think the players are looking like they're ready, so we should be jumping straight into game 2 of round 4. And here we are. If we look at the battlefields now, we are playing. We've got the Azir with the classic Trifarian War Camp. A battlefield everyone will know well from whether Darius, Victor in set 1. Versus a new battlefield inside the Jacks, the Sunken Temple. This was another favourite at my pre-Rift event. When you conquer with a mighty unit, you can tap 1 rune to draw a card, which is always nice. So could certainly be useful for Azir if they combo with some BF swords to really start cycling out to keep the card draw up. Because we saw in game 1 they just sort of immediately ran out of cards. So hopefully that will fix that issue quite quickly for them.
So yeah, go and say anything they did in the first game, getting that eye out very early and very quickly. Also getting attached to them is the Def Keel. So she is here.
The
Just think he's
Sacred
like draw
Shears,
one.
I think, would be the one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Def Keel,
essentially,
draw
yeah, Death Knell, draw 1. That's not bad. Yeah, can't. Again, like I mentioned, more card draws to help keep the hand size.
So as obviously what we saw last time, it was 1 card away from possibly winning that last game. Maybe we do indeed need some more card draw. But this is also a deck from both sides that do get to be mighty quite often, especially with those BF swords coming in. So Sunken Temple is quite good for both decks here, and Treferian is obviously just good for getting that little extra might, as we do to the loneliest Paro known to man.
Yes, and he will stay lonely, dominate the Trofarian War Camp with the Brutalizer, and just goes to an immediate 6 on the War Camp. So yeah, already quite difficult to get over.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure here if you want to just trade next turn, try and get the either Herald in there. Challenge also doesn't help. Never mind, ignore what I just said.
Yeah, brutal again. I think Jax has been good with these early challenges, just keeping it, targeting everything in base. We saw it in game 1 with a lot of strike downs, followed by challenges. Just really trying to make sure that these Sand Soldiers never even have a chance to enter the fray.
It is unfortunate for the Azir, as we said, they don't really run any extra units other than really just their main champion and as much equipment as they physically can currently in set 2. Hopefully set 3 will bring us in a couple more cards that can add to the deck or maybe shape it up a little bit differently. But hopefully right now we do have access to a newer piece of equipment that can come down. The Brutalizer is a piece of equipment.
Absolutely, yeah. This Brutalizer is a very cool card. Unfortunately, I think like I say, very sensible not to attach it this turn, as we cannot ready it and charge it in, which is what you really want to be doing. So I think that's a very sensible play there.
I say, but next turn, if they do equip it, or if they equip it next turn, they can walk into Sunken Temple and get themselves an extra draw, which I don't think would be the worst thing to do. But currently on the side of Jax here, we are just kind of like slowing down a little bit, which is fair. Not really building a back line. Obviously, you don't really want to just lose to a Call of the Week or a Hidden Blade that we've seen before. But it is good to see what we can do here as it has come back over to the Jax, I believe. So hopefully, we are thinking about the next gameplay. We haven't just lagged out.
Yeah, a little bit of thinking time never hurts. We are pulling the Lonely Poro back, so it'll still be alone at this time at base. I'm actually bringing out the Jax. We didn't see this Jax come out in game 1. So we'll Weapon Master across the Brutalizer, and then
Sunken Temple, I guess, get a draw.
Yeah, we'll get a card draw off Jax's effect anyway. So yeah, when he gets an attachment, we draw a card, which is always useful. And then I imagine we'll just start setting up for next turn as well.
Yeah, so that's fairly simple enough. Just try and get the ball rolling. And then, yeah, leaving one up just in case to sort of maybe prove that you may have a Divide or you might have a Engard in hand just in case. I don't know if they still run them in Jax, but it's there in case.
Exactly, yeah. It's been interesting with set 2. I think, like I say, it's just hard to fit that many cards in, because I think especially the equipment-focused decks, that's such a priority to play as many of those as possible. But it's been interesting that we've seen a much smaller game plan. Set 1 involved every deck seemed to have the big units, the big boss cards, we'd like to call them. Whereas nowadays you can really turn anything into a boss with all this equipment. So it's been cool to see the shift in deck building away from the classics. We still see some decks that run the Watchers and other big cards like that, but we don't see any Dead Blooms in here. We don't see any of the big units like that, because you can just turn something small into that size as well quite easily.
And that's it, yeah. So Dead Blooms have gone, the White Flames have disappeared, Mind Splitters are still very powerful, Watchers are also still very powerful, and that seems to be it from the 4 big ones. We're now down to 2, but as you said, it's very easy to turn some of those mid-range mites into some of those bigger creatures.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Watcher is still a card that definitely deserves to have a place. That card is still incredible. There was a reason it was a £20 rare at release in set 1, so hopefully, from what I'm hearing, Spiritforged stock seems to be better. I was checking the prices today. They certainly seem more reasonable than I was expecting after Origins, especially with a couple of big regionals coming up. You thought that could be a good reason to bump the prices, but so far, looking good for the community.
Yeah, so from what we saw from my current locals, we had a lot of stock coming. So I know the sort of Peterborough area is going to be very stocked for the time being. I feel like other metropolitan areas unfortunately didn't get so lucky, but they are coming sort of this week to sort of help out the
Nice.
stock. And then obviously Origins being restocked as of last week as well always helps. So those prices for those watches I think are down to like like between £10 and £12 now. So much easier to get those big cards from set one, unlike before.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's a good sign for community. I think, right, yeah, they've done a good job of listening. Yeah, we knew. I guess they just didn't expect how popular the game would be, but yeah, good for us. It is as popular as it is. So I think hopefully we're in a much better place going forward, which is nice.
Indeed, and hopefully, as I said, as of set 3, all those issues should be solved, they say. But fingers crossed that it will be,
We
because
can hope.
I'm looking forward
We
to
can
playing
hope.
more. And I'm sure you guys are all out there looking to play more, especially coming set 3 as we get more new champions and legends for cards that we already have, like Rengar and Vi and ganking. More ganking.
So much jungling. We did. I absolutely it's been very exciting. And even set 4, if we look further down the line, the global release, what a fiesta that's going to be. Trying to figure out what to play without having 2.5 months
No.
of practice
We're,
on
we're,
these
we're all very
things.
smart here. We can look at cards and determine straight away what's powerful. We don't have to use another region's resources.
Absolutely. Well, in fairness to us, we did see a pretty different meta come. There was no Annie in China. There was no Set, which we saw. Take down. I believe it was a 10K just before Houston, and obviously Annie won Houston. So I think
And we
we're
saw
certainly
the
we cooked
MF
the
as
meta
well.
a bit more. Yeah, MF
Yeah.
Aurora certainly didn't have the same popularity. So I think that was good. I think we've seen a much better mix in these Chinese regionals because of the fact that they've been allowed, well, not been allowed, but they've been offered the best of pricing as well. So I think that immediately makes a much bigger environment. I think best of might be the best thing that Riftbound's done. Talking to people from other card games, it's just something that's really unique and really incentivizes a mix mash of meta. You're not going into Kai everywhere. I mean, obviously it's still popular because the best players are going to want to win. But it gives a really nice incentive for people to go play their favorite deck, even if it's not that strong. And maybe they win a best of prizing, which in some cases can be very, very lucrative if you were looking to sell it.
Yeah, so the little Lonely Porro his move out here as he's a 5 might unit, he's now mighty, so they get that draw. But I agree. I think having access to these best of prizes does really help the gameplay, because maybe you're a specific player that likes a specific play style, but the current meta decks aren't that style, and you just can't get your head around it. Should you be punished for basically not playing the same deck as 200 other people? I don't think you should. But having some incentive to play your deck that you're very good at, I think just shows that, there's a reason why we have one tricks in League.
Absolutely, that's a very, very good analogy there. Yeah, fantastic. So we're seeing a much slower start to the game here. It's only 3-2, quite modest. The Azir setting up a bit of a sort of mini stronghold in the Triforium War Camp. You mentioned that the Lonely Porro is made his slow way, and we are going to see another strike down come down. But interesting what we're targeting here. We are targeting the Sun Soldier that is currently on the War Camp. So we will get another draw through the Death Knell of the Shears, but we will clear out 3 weapons from the Sand Soldier. So we can now allow Jax to swing in here and potentially retake if we wanted to. It would get us back on even point tempo, which could be quite nice as well. And we are going to see the Jax make that move.
That's it, pushing the next note into 4-2, which is obviously much more preferred for the Jax to be a full turn ahead. I'm surprised they didn't re-equip.
Ooh!
Oh, Death Grip.
Death Grip. Here we go. That's a cool combo. So is it? So this will give +2 to the +3.
Yeah, makes it
Yeah,
+4.
+3. So that should take it to 5. Yeah, might to another friendly unit this turn. Draw 1.
Yeah, so it takes his current might, which would be 2 because of the Teferians, push it into this one, so that makes it a 4 might Sand Soldier at the back there. Not that that matters too much unless they just do have some way of using another challenge or using another strike down. Obviously, they've got the 1 body ruin left open, but I don't think it matters too much here. Oh, it's been backwards, sorry. So it's 5 into a 4, I think.
Yeah, it goes 5 because it goes 5 because the Doran's shield. So we actually now do swing it. So counter strike, very nice.
Wait a minute.
This top. What do we say? No, so because the Sand Soldier had a Doran's shield, it gets +3. So it then actually was bigger than the Jax, which is currently at 4. And then we're going to see the
and a salvage. Nice.
Sure.
I
Because
mean, yeah,
the
that just kind
counter-strike
of
resolves just by pushing back the Jacks. Yes, the Jacks just pushes back, so
Yeah.
we do hold after all the back and forth, which is good. But yeah, I think that was minorly punishing for not just equipping the Brutalizer, because then the Death Grip wouldn't have worked in the first place. I feel like that
Which
was
is what I was
that
going to say. I'm surprised they didn't want to
might
do
have
it for
been a
the draw.
simpler
And then,
solution.
yeah, you should have equipped it for the draw anyway, and then you should have just been able to move out with the 6 might rather than the 4. Sorry, the 7 might rather than the 4. So maybe they just didn't think about what could be in the back there with only one rune up, or 2 runes up rather for the Death
Exactly.
Grip.
But
Yeah, I mean, it
not
happens.
too bad. Yeah, good hold from the Azir now. He should be at 4. I think we're just waiting for a little update there.
No, Azir was at 2, so he should be at 3. So they are 3 on 3 now.
Sorry, it's 3-3. So you're completely correct there. Completely correct.
So the question now is: do we have one piece of
counter.
equipment to just equip everything onto one soldier?
Do we just get rid of all 6 runes just to equip to a recruit token?
He'll be a chunky recruit. He's going to be
It
so
really
big.
would. I mean, this should be a really nice spot for a rise, because you only get to ready 2 of the tokens, so at least it would just build a board, which would be really nice. I think just something like that. Yeah, I'm sort of been waiting to see this arise. I think it's a really cool card. I think it's just.
Do you have the 6 ruins open right now? They could be
Exactly.
possible to walk in, get rid of that poor lonely Poro that's just been waiting around all this time. Oh, one of these days.
I know, for a lonely Poro, he's done a very good job of hanging around. He's been quite mobile this game. Oh, we are seeing 4 come out for the Azir.
That's
Not accelerated.
No, okay. I thought maybe you want to get that out, try and get rid of this lonely Poro, try and just push advantage, maybe. Okay, we're expecting the recruit to fall over.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, we are committing quite a bit. Okay, interesting.
That's a bit weird to me, but you do you.
Yeah, I find that a little bit strange. I'm going to agree with you on that one, mainly because we've seen challenge, we've seen strike down, so just playing out the Azir, I feel like he might be a bit of a sitting duck back there. There's a lot of cards. We have left 2 runes open, so I'm guessing there could be some counterplay there, because the thing with things like strike down and challenge, they are all might based. So in the case of if you had a discipline, you obviously got defies, which you can have access to. So there's still a lot you can do with that as well, which would be good. We are seeing yet another brutalizer come down. We can now equip this to the Jacks if we want to.
So yeah, I'm not too sure if strike down specifically can only use it if you target one something on yours that has an equipment. I don't know if it's to do as much as you can or if it has to be done card. So they were an equipment short for that. But yeah, Jack's walking in here now as a 8 might unit, because he obviously gets the one for the Trifarians. And another salvage! No. Well, I'll take a 3.
Now we're cooking.
So it's still a 7 might unit. How big is the Jax? Am I going crazy? Is he a 3 might or is he a 4 might?
This Jax is a 3 might as it printed. I don't know with the brutalizer, like you say, did it give the +2 for the rest of the turn? Because they've obviously ended up trading there.
Yeah, so it should have been a case of it got +2 for the rest of the turn, because that's like a triggered effect rather than an equipment effect. And then the +1 from the equipment, right? So it should have been a 6. 6 into 4.
Well, I think we went in as a. I think I have a feeling we didn't play the +2 like that for the turn. Because I don't know if it's written on the equipment. Is it the equipment that gives +3? Is how I understood it, but I'm not exactly a rules.
I will check it personally.
Yeah, no, but because then either way, assuming we didn't get the +3, the Jacks would then go to a 4 on wall camp, which was trading with the Sand Soldier. So that makes sense. That's why they ended up trading there. So now a bit of an awkward spot. The Azir miraculously has 8 cards in hand after we saw it have 1 for pretty much the entirety of last game. So let's see if we can just start to develop some units. We are going to go in with the Azir that isn't mighty. We've got the disarming rate.
Oh?
And we have just passed with 5 runes up.
Could be anything. Could be a boat.
Could quite literally be anything. You are correct. There's a lot we could do with this. That is it. Suddenly looks a lot scarier when you're sat there with 5 runes up. I've certainly noticed this.
Yellows and 3 greens up. It could be anything. Yeah. Don't play any cards though, just in case.
Don't pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Just there is. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot in this set. I think Origins there was a lot of. I think was it Casanova described it really nicely, where he says it's like you have this many possibilities, I can play around them. And now in Spiritforged, it's you have like 9 different possibilities. I can play around 6 of them, so it's just a matter of which situation I'm in.
Yeah, which 6 do you have?
Now...
Which one's gonna dodge? Yeah.
Exactly. There are so many combos now with all the new cards that are printed and the different ways you can play around them. It's certainly been interesting and certainly taken a lot to get your head around as well. Not the simplest of games, Riftbound, but it is incredibly enjoyable, and that is why we are all here today.
As we're kind of thinking a bit more, Ace, to answer your question, if you go to the Rifts and Ruins Discord page, I think it's once a month. I might be wrong. Maybe every 6 weeks to 2 months, depending on like release schedules and stuff. We do a 1K-ish tournament, depending on obviously turnout. The more people turn out, the more that you get paid out. So just go to the Discord. That will be shown at some point during this stream, probably after this match or after the games, and sign up for the next one, which will be probably around about set free time. Look at all those first mates.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we cooked. I was like a little bit confused why we just charmed the Azir back to base, but I guess we moved in first mate, We did score 2, so we are now one turn away from winning. You know, that in itself is pretty good. Certainly a little bit interesting, but yeah, very cool.
I'm hoping for the Arise now, because we've got 2, 4, 6, not 11 cards in hand on that, and need to do something drastically.
I was gonna say now that the Jax is at 6, this is the time to make the move. You can't be too complacent with this. I think we've got to, if we've got an Arise, it would be a great time to play it onto the board. Absolutely.
And the cool thing about the yellow one, I believe, is it drags targets with it, right? So you could always just drag over some of the non readied units, right, and just put them in there with you. Don't do it now. No.
That's not the as soon as you said it, and we just oh, it's like Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar, you know, when he's watching himself through the screen. Just
what am I doing?
Oh, can you do this? Can you just play them straight here? Is that how that card works? Oh, sorry, yeah, we're actually wrong. You can just play 2. You can just be to Vashford. It doesn't have to be to base, which is all right.
Well, for me, it's more the case of like you equip the eye and stuff, and then you move the eye over, and then you get the extra recruit as well.
True. The only question we're going to have here is how do we then next turn get everything to go somewhere else is the question. I feel like we possibly could have sequenced that slightly better, but I'm not.
Well, it should have been
expert.
4 for the equipment, right? And then 2 extras that come in readied. Or is that what it is? God, my brain's so slow today. It's been a long day.
We could have done what we could have done was played a Rise first, had the 2 ready tokens, conquered the Sunken Temple, scored a point, then moved Azir in and moved everything with the Azir back to be. We'd still be in this game state. We would just have 6 points instead of 5, which would be a bit of a difference. When it comes.
You move the one that eye over first, get the extra recruit, and then move everything over again so you make a second recruit.
Yeah. That would have been a
and have a hitting card.
A slightly better term, but it is always easier to see these moves when you're not actually in the game itself. But still pretty strong, a pretty big stronghold here. However, the Jax can potentially just try and hold the Sunken Temple, and then we are in a situation where we are going to have to try and make a move ourselves rather than trying to defend the war camp.
I guess the only other thing is I've got a second Arise in hand, and they just do the same thing next turn and go like, oh, come back over here, ready to walk across.
That would certainly be a useful play.
Trying to think what they can do really, because they'll have 7 cards next turn. You need 6 for the Arise. Could play.
Yeah, we've gone quite wide here with Jax as well, which is good because I think into yellow decks, wide is definitely better because those kill spells are not going to hurt as much.
Definitely. Second mate? No, we've only got the first mates. Don't worry about the second mates. So yeah, so what is the plan here for the Jax? Like you said, there's no point really like forcing yourself upon the held one. You go to 7, and then I think you're right. Just try and hold this one down. Are they at?
You're currently defending for 10.
10. Yeah.
Yeah, you're defending for 10 with 8 runes up. So pretty
The
scary.
only thing I could think of is they do run the green flash. They flash out the Azir, and then they move the Azir into the other one and just take everything. Oh, hello there, Mr. Sean.
Yeah, slightly less exciting this time. I think it looks like we're just stealing a. Oh no, we just deleted a Doran. Oh, we're giving it. Okay, yeah.
Hey,
Oh.
come back here.
Yeah, just disappeared. I was like, in fairness, my knowledge of TCG Arena is probably not good enough to know how I'd give my opponent one of my cards, but they clearly, at least they knew. Yeah,
At least it's
not
coded.
the.
That's what I can say. At least it's coded into the game.
This is true. That would be a nightmare otherwise. Okay, that's pretty big. That's a lot of might. That is 15 we've now got as the Jacks, and we're actually going to unattach the Doran's Shield. We're going to re-equip it yet to the first mate. Okay, so yeah, it's still 15. That's quite scary.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You don't worry about the action on getting the first load of damage, do you? How big is everything on that side of the field? Still question, though. Uh-oh. Ah, okay. Do you have a sword?
Oh, we're cooking. Oh, we're cooking.
Or a sword of BFness?
Yeah, any. Oh, wait. I just. Yeah, we're cooking. We're actually really cooking.
Oh, and we get the Sand Soldier too.
Nice.
Don't forget to play the token out. There we go.
Best part is if we hadn't missed the gory-based battlefields, this would be for the game as well.
So we have. Oh, okay.
Discipline, so we can ready the Azir with the Fiora.
And a draw.
And a draw indeed. Yep, ready it. There we go. Now pull in everything.
That's just walk forwards. You've got this.
Oh, discipline the Fiora as well, so we can ready her too. Nice.
That's in. Hold on. 6, 8, 9. Hello? Did they need everything again?
So where are we at? 5, 11, 13, 16, 20, 24, 28, 29, I believe is the number.
So the answer is no, they did not take everything in.
However, I think that's game.
Counter-Strike.
Because, yeah, that...
Choose a unit.
It just lives, doesn't it?
Yeah, it will just live now because they can't do any damage to it because something else gets done. Hold on. Yeah, he doesn't take damage basically.
Yeah, so doesn't that just all of his so just Azir gets pushed back, doesn't he?
Yep.
Unless
they can ready something else, maybe.
I don't think while fully tapped out, there's going to be much we can do about that.
You equip the other stuff. Sorry, is Fiora a rune or a power? I thought she was a power.
Oh, sorry, you're right, can't we? We can just because everything that's equipped will die, so we can re-equip it. Well, no, because we can just make sure the Jacks can just kill the Fiora, can't he? He can just put the damage into Fiora. There's the only tanks on a Sand Soldier.
So Sand Soldier has to die. That's one equipment. What's going on here?
There's a lot of random movement, but I think the Jax has just won because there's nothing you can do about it. Ironically, if we'd gone in without the Fiora worthy, then we could have won.
That's what I was confused. I was like, there's way too much damage in here, and there's nothing that they can do to sort of stop it. Let's say we're worried about a punch first, but even
the only thing is walking straight into a counter strike. I think we're just doing the maths one by one here, I'd imagine. But yeah, that will be.
Yeah, you want to kill the biggest stuff
first.
first.
You just kill the Fiora. You kill the Fiora worthy, and then unfortunately that will be game for the Jacks.
Yes, but you have to kill the thing.
Not unfortunately. Congratulations to the Jacks, but I was hoping for a game 3. I was as a neutral. I was rooting for it to see a game 3 and see more of this Azir.
But again, you got to kill the thing with shield first.
Yeah.
Because he's got tanks, and because the Doran shield.
Yeah,
says
but you can just put 4 into. You can just put 3. You put 3 into the tank, and then you can just put the rest into the Azir and the Fiora. But the issue is the Akchan's just going to live.
Yeah, you just kill everything else as well, and then Yeah, unfortunately, with the Fiora going, it doesn't help. So is it First Mate and the Sand Soldier trade each other? Yeah, there's nothing you can do here. As the chat said, didn't need to push the Fiora up. They were just being greedy, and unfortunately, it bit them.
Oh, are the tokens still ready?
They got moved over, so maybe.
Ooh, chat, you're onto something. You're onto something. Are they going to know is the question. We may have to make sure we get a judge in here to sort this out, because we're certainly getting some confusion here, aren't we? But yeah, you're right. The tokens shouldn't...
Yeah, they didn't move by themselves. They were moved over.
Yeah. So everything's dying here but the Akshan. The Azir's dying. The recruits are all being pushed.
But they should come back
They
in
should
ready.
all be
Right,
ready. Yeah. And no, he's called game. Oh, no. No. Chat.
No.
Judge.
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 Can we get
Can we get the man behind the curtain to help?
Oh, he's disconnected. No, I think he's disconnected. That will be. Yeah, he's left the game.